Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first online session of the Alt 2022 conference. And our very brave speakers going first today are Sachio Sekiguchi and Nobue Tanaka Ellis. So welcome to you guys. Thank you very much for coming. And they're going to be talking about, this is their title, it's My Turf, an educational technologies account of teaching teacher-trainee courses in online and face-to-face modes. So this session's 30 minutes and they'll be happy to answer questions towards the end, so we'll save time for that. So I'd like to hand you over now to our speakers.
Thank you. Okay, welcome to our presentation. I'm Sachio Sekiguchi, presenting this with Nobue Tanaka Ellis. I'm an educational technologist for a very long time, and I'm an English language teacher teaching educational technology in English language teaching training courses. So the initial shift from all face-to-face teaching to online teaching at the beginning and during the COVID pandemic was not difficult for me. However, adjusting my teaching style and practice about class delivery modes due to the changeable university request from online to face-to-face in the mid-semester affected experienced teachers like myself. In this presentation, we are looking at my experience as a teacher and students' accounts where I experienced challenges. This result will be discussed in relation to Bronfenbrenner's ecological system theory and community of practice. The study took technology in language teacher training courses at the middle-sized university in Tokyo in 2021. It is an elective course as a part of teacher training course for third and fourth year students. 11 students were participated in this study. They are aiming for an English teacher license for secondary education in Japan and also preparing for the teacher employment selection exam in their fourth year. So as I said, I am the instructor of the course. This slide shows this course was designed based on active and collaborative learning. This teacher training course was designed as a teacher training course to become a teacher with practical ICT operational skills. So aim of the course is to set students to gain practical knowledge how to implement ICT in their practice as a high school teacher. This is a list of contents I have covered in that course.
Okay, I would like to talk about background of the study a little bit. And another thing is that what we want to do is to compare and assess if Sachio's courses were emergency remote teaching or not. So in the past 2 years, educators were required to shift their classes from traditional classes to online classes, classrooms using video conferencing tools like Zoom or Teams. And this emergency remote teaching or ERT accentuated the stigma that the quality of online teaching is lower than face-to-face. And according to Hodges et al., 2020, emergency remote teaching is a temporary shift of instructional delivery to an alternative delivery mode due to the crisis. Okay, and the next page, yep. Okay, and I'd like to talk about a bit more about student perspectives of ERT. So in relation to language learning, though, and ERT, and Dison and Thanawapotoking, I'm sorry, 2021 concluded that conducted a study involving 3 Japanese universities looking at student acceptance of LMS using technology acceptance model. And as a result of pre- and post-class surveys, they found that perceived usefulness of LMS did not change. So, however, they found that ease of use, attitude, intention of slightly increased, whereas usefulness of learning English, anxiety decreased slightly. So there were not much differences between ERT and the normal classes that they were talking about. And for the next one, in another study of young international students learning overseas from their home countries conducted by Thomas et al. 2021, the level of pupils' psychological state and aspiration was about the same as face-to-face due to the supportive relationship with the teacher. However, according to Sayer and Brown, 2020 ERT classes were hastily assembled, and listening and speaking components of the classes were replaced with reading and writing. Hence, the very nature of the classes was altered. So from this, probably experiences that people just thought that ERT is not good, therefore online teaching is not good. So, okay. So, Sachi, you want
Oh,
yeah.
And then research questions for this study. So research question, what was the teacher experiences in conducting face-to-face courses, moving to online and then back to face-to-face between and during semesters? Second question is, how did the teacher adjust teaching content and pedagogy to the frequently changing learning environment? What were the student perceptions and experiences when online in-person shift occurred between semesters or mid-semester? So data used for this study were from 2021 courses. 14 students in the spring semester and 13 students in the fall semester took the course, and 11 students who attended both semesters are participants in this study. The university announced the official policy of full-time face-to-face teaching mode for all the courses in 2021. So that spring semester, it's a 15 weeks duration from April to July, started with a face-to-face mode. But due to the outbreak of COVID-19 on campus, so we just go back to online just after week 1. So 14 weeks, 1 week face-to-face and 14 weeks in a spring semester course. And we continue online courses for 8 weeks before we, 5 weeks before we going back to face-to-face teaching in the mid-semester in fall semester 2021. So in this study, we use teacher reflection on syllabus designing adjustment made to the course due to the government and school policy. Zoom and in-class video recordings, class contents and activities, and end of semester student feedback were collected for this study. Despite of the change, one syllabus was designed for both modes. No alternatives were made for the course plan. In-class activities, group tasks, or any assessment, I did not alter any of that. A virtual classroom provided by a synchronous web-based system, we use Zoom, was used for online mode. All the tools in the virtual classroom tools help instructor, me, to run the online mode class to carry out the same course plan. So for research question 1, using full advanced function of web conferencing system, I conducted the Zoom class without stress. However, ironically, because of the technological advantages, I was challenged in a way more to go back to the face-to-face class setting without the benefit of positive part of the web conferencing system. So live Zoom class, all in one screen. So all of things in like at the moment, like now I'm presenting to you, it's all in one screen. So easier content navigation, easier task assignment, efficient and flawless transition between tasks, slide share, so easy to deliver my content, easier student management. So we have like web camera on style, so I can see everyone's facial expressions with no masks. Gallery view, so easier to capture, as I said, facial expressions. On the contrary, classroom session, the physical distance to all the presentation tools produced more downtime, like physically walking, connecting devices, pointing at the screens. Pacing, this is the time management pacing. This is my difficult part. So I just needed to make sure in a few times whether they understood because of the distance and also mask as well. For that, it slowed me down. So I delivered less content in a classroom and also in a classroom. And also because we are physically there, in additional interactions happened naturally between me and teacher and students, among students, and more time was spent on classroom session. And this next slide shows class content management on class content management. Yes, in a Zoom setting, I conducted each of the task segment flawlessly from one task to another. So smooth transition between tasks. And then because of the less downtime here, secure enough time for delivering lecture contents and enough time for group discussions. And I did completed all those required planned in-class, Zoom class, tasks, presentation, group, task group activities. In classroom, it's occasional occurrence of pause during face-to-face sessions. The transition is less smoother than Zoom class. All group were visible from one spot from the instructor, which is good. But it requires more management for my end. Students spend more time to complete task in hand before moving to the next segment. Naturally, they need some pause in a physical setting more than Zoom. Required more time for checking their understanding with peers. Research question 2, how does the teacher adjust teaching content and pedagogy to the frequent changing learning environment? We focused on pedagogy here. As mentioned, collaborative learning, it's the pedagogy I have used. I did not change the collaborative learning part, but because I deliver less lectures, I used the flipped classroom approach and task-based learning to adjust into face-to-face session. And time management need to be adjusted because lecture time I need to adjust the time management. In challenges in face-to-face, I more time to monitor and attend to the students' needs. So for this time management, I have to cut my lecture contents, lecture time to create more time. Face-to-face, less control over class dynamics. So within Zoom, small group discussion in face-to-face, small group discussion expanded to a larger group discussion that consumed more time. So again, I need to adjust that part from Zoom to face-to-face setting. So last one is student perception and experience when online in-person shift to face-to-face in the mid-semester. We did ask students their reflection and in end of semester feedback contents. Those 4 questions were asked in an online Google form format. By analyzing student responses, we formed 8 codes. As you see in the slide here, the answers only relevant to teaching, learning quality, and environment were coded. In total, 64 items were coded. The 2 researchers, me and Nobue, did the coding with acceptable inter-rater reliability. The coins corpus for the reliability rate was 0.796, which falls into the category of substantial agreement. Student feedback result was presented in this slide here. The student feedback in question 4 indicated that they developed better learning community in class sessions. As a result, they, in comparison between 2, as I said, they developed better learning community. Look at the question 2. They adjusted to from Zoom to face-to-face classes without much hassle here. So I believe that all those planning was exactly the same. They don't need to adjust new assignments or anything, but they found the community part, learning community part more impacted on their study. So this is the next slide shows the their comments on online live teaching works well. So with the face-to-face is not always better. They appreciated all those Zoom functions as they stated here, and also, but they are talking about one element missing from the online live mode, which is the better learning community. So hand over to Nobue.
Okay, I was muted, sorry. Yes,
Sorry
so
about
we like to
overlapping those characters here.
Okay. Now, with Bronfenbrenner, in this study, we discussed the result in relation to ecological systems theory and community of inquiry. So many of you would be familiar with ecological systems theory that was first proposed by Bronfenbrenner, which is the framework for examining a child's relationship with the community and their outer context. So the model is widely used in education and other disciplines, and as we found in this result, the online and face-to-face classes were almost identically structured and designed, but wanted to see what was the cause of different teaching and learning experiences between the 2 learning contexts. So here we will only highlight the differences between the 2 contexts, which are meso system, teacher educational technology, and clear learning community. So that in online, the learning community was there, but it wasn't that strong compared to the face-to-face context. Okay, in the next slide. Okay, so I'd like to just quickly talk about a community of inquiry, and we need to finish very soon. And community of inquiry framework, Garrison et al., derived from Pearson Dewey's concept. I'm pretty sure that like you're all familiar with that as well. And according to them, learning occurs within the community through the interaction of the three core elements: cognitive and social and teaching presence. So yes, Sachio, do you want to talk about your discussion here?
This is the brief summary of how I presented community of inquiry in this course, teaching a presence. Lots of ways for me to show, like this weekly live sessions in class discussion, and I'm available for students' needs using those technologies lined up here. And then same here, social presence are available by the group work, and also cognitive presence presented in a several method using in this course. And I ask Nobe to summarize our conclusion here. I'll move to my slide here. Thank you.
Okay, so with the conclusion and implications from the study, we can conclude that the courses did not share the same characteristics with ERT, as none of the goals, activities, course structure were altered to suit the available online environment. So what she did was totally unique, and then she achieved something that she actually intended to achieve. Okay, and so both online and face-to-face modes supported collaborative learning, and the online sessions had the following advantages, such as superior distribution of knowledge and materials. And on the other hand, the characteristics of face-to-face sessions included diluted content coverage, but in-class activities supported to create more robust learning community as well. So in terms of learning community, though, the schema for each task could have been more explicit, showing that what the task is for, and what the process, and what to achieve, and how the end result should look like for the online activities. And it could be achieved through a variety of collaborative activities with different durations, so that they would challenge cognitively, and it would also help stabilize the learning community, even within and outside of their classrooms. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. It was a really interesting session, and thank you for sharing all that research with us. It's really interesting how much we have to change our pedagogy from face-to-face to online. And I think for everybody, we thought at the beginning that face-to-face was always the easier option. But as you've pointed out there, it's not really the case, and we've adapted really well to the online environment. We do have a couple of questions in the chat, so I'll just show our question from Peter. So Peter makes a good point about the blurred lines between online, blended, remote, and hybrid methods. So what do you think are the biggest differences or similarities between those different modes?
I totally agree with the statement here, but it's all emergency. But it's and I just thought I was just doing at the start I thought I was doing RET, but I realized I wasn't, because I did not alter any syllabus. I was too arrogant to say I can run exactly the same way in a web conferencing system. So again, I don't think I have the clear answer. It is of course it's a blended, it's a remote and also hybrid, but so yeah, I don't have the clear answer for this one, but definitely I'd like to claim what I did was not RET. That's all I could say. I probably, if Nome has a comment on this one, I appreciate that.
I think the term blended learning itself has got a bit of a problem as well, and each research has got used use that in different ways. So I totally agree that we maybe should have sort of defined what blended learning could be for this research. But I think lots of different researchers actually use that term differently too at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the difference between blended and hybrid, and yeah, so many terms out there now. Yeah. Okay, I have a question from Emma, who says, one thing that I found was that some staff and students were very reluctant online generally, so not just the learning and teaching side. Given you're teaching EdTech, do you think the group typical of the time?
I don't think so in that way, but I was, I kind of pressing the time. I would like to say so many things, but you see, Japanese government tried to put lots of, emphasis on future teachers with ICT skills before COVID. And after COVID, of course, more, policy and funding was there. So I could kind of justify my students. So you have to learn. So this is how I show you how to, use those technology. Of course, I have no, in student was cooperative. They, of course, show their face on the webcam, participated well. They were not stuck in a breakout room. They worked, use all those technologies. I could not say that. Having said that, I think this is another things we would like to try to teach future teachers how to make student understand. So this is another tool we can use. So it's actually, I had smaller group, senior level university student. So I don't think I share many difficulties you may have with your current, typical university student. I was lucky in that way, but I hope this can help you in any way. That's what I would like to do.
Great. We have another question from Vicky, which I think is a question that's been asked a lot over the last 2 years, is how did you persuade learners to switch their cameras on?
This particular course, educational technology, it was easy. I can justify that. But I do actually teach language courses as well. Some students hesitate to show. But again, like I was kind of doing my sales pitch, like, we're having difficult time. Let's just connect, engage together in a virtual environment. So that is one. But again, I never force anyone to show their faces if they don't want to. Sometimes students are too keen to come to my virtual class when they are sick. So they ask my permission. I would like to be there, but it's okay to not to show. But lots of group tasks, collaborative work, they need to show their faces to peers, not to me. So that's another way to kind of ease them to get into the pair up group dynamics, showing their faces. But they can use lots of animation things on their faces if they don't want to show their real face. But I know it's difficult. But that's what I.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose there's other ways to check engagement when they've got their cameras off. But yeah, I mean that's an ongoing issue, isn't it, of turning their cameras on. There's no more questions in the chat, so I'll just ask one question that I had. You mentioned about not being able to read students' faces while they're wearing a mask. So what did you do to overcome this?
Oh, I probably did not express my things well. Of course, we can see eyes with masks. So I did actually see, but what I tried to do was it took more time to read students, impression, or it just I need more cues to see how they are comprehending or not. In a Zoom, like we are, three of us facing now, I can see Claire is kind of understanding what I'm trying to say, and then it's and then physical distance takes me more time. That was kind of that's what I would like to say. So I really want to clarify that. So I do see student expression that took more time. Taking more time to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, especially joining from Japan. And
We are.
I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. If you do have any further questions, you can still post those into YouTube. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank
Great,
you.
thank you very much. Okay.
Bye.